Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of our new podcast, 90 Minutes of Shenanigans. As the kind of start of that title would suggest, with 90 minutes, we are discussing football. Now, this isn't the first time that we've done a podcast of something similar. We tried our hand with Dublin's Finest, and we enjoyed doing that at the time, but we just weren't able to keep it consistent. But hopefully now with this new one, we can get the ball rolling. So, for those of you who don't know Cal, if you'd like to introduce yourself, and then I'll follow after.
Yeah, hey guys. So my name's Cal. I suppose I'm the co-host of this podcast. I'm a Manchester United fan. Also, big being from Ireland, a massive Republic of Ireland fan. If and when Ireland lose, it devastates me. So overall, I'm a
All
big
the time.
it fucking sorry for curse. It destroys my life. But and then when United lose, obviously it devastates me as well, and they've just lost as well, which we'll probably get to. But yeah, so that's kind of a bit about me and the football side. Big fan like yourself, Dano, and yeah, we both love talking about football. So hopefully this podcast will be very entertaining, and we can add some good insights.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'll introduce myself as well. So my name is Daniel. I am a Chelsea fan, so I can feel Cal's pain when it comes to supporting our clubs. I wouldn't be as huge of probably an Irish fan as Cal is, but I still try to watch him as much as I can, and it disappoints me just as much as well. So I feel like the two of us are just going to be talking really negatively about football, considering what's going on with our country and with our teams. But we're not just here to discuss, our teams are here to discuss fixtures throughout the Premier League, leagues around Europe. We'll discuss, the talking points of football at the moment, transfer windows, just a complete discussion about football. So the first kind of topic we were going to discuss today was the whole issue with Jadon Sancho and Erik ten Hag, which has seen him excluded from the first team at the moment through disciplinary issues. Cal, obviously being a United fan yourself, you can probably give us a little taster into kind of what's happening, and then we can go from there.
Well, I think for everyone that sees it, it's pretty obvious what's happened. It's a complete mess in the club, and the club's been like this since Sir Alex left it. But
Yeah,
it looks like it's pretty much a civil war between Erik ten Hag, the manager, and Jadon Sancho, the player. I think Jadon Sancho isn't gonna bow down and is gonna keep fighting, and Erik ten Hag is looking like he's doing the same, which I actually quite respect compared to previous managers that we've had. So it's a lot of drama, and it's just not a good look, especially when the team isn't doing well. And I don't. I think Eric Ten Hag has done well so far in terms of managing, in the sense of excluding him. I think Eric Ten Hag has the club's interests at heart. Jadon Sancho, obviously his own personal interests at heart. So that's the way I see it going. And I think in terms of how it ends, I think it's inevitable that, like, he's gone, essentially. Like, he's gone. Like, this isn't the first time that there's been a
yeah.
disciplinary action against him at any of his clubs that he's been with. So and then inevitably he does go. So yeah.
Yeah, and obviously this obviously whole debacle has caused a lot of divide, and I wouldn't even say even between just Manchester United fans, just the football kind of world in general, because I think it's probably a very good indicator of the way the game is going at the moment. There's too much, it's
Mm,
certainly in my opinion. Now, I mean, you can attest your own beliefs to it, but I think that it's just player power has become so
yeah.
prevalent in the game over the last couple of years, and it's just especially at United, it seems to be kind of like it's almost like it's rotten to the core, and that's kind of just the staple of what's going on at United. So I don't know if you have any kind of side that you take on this. Can you see Sancho's point of view? Can you see Ten Hag's, or is it just it stops at the manager? The manager holds all the cards and all the power in this.
Yeah, if I'm being totally honest, it seems from what I've seen online that a lot of people are taking, well, it seems kind of 50-50 actually, but I think there's a lot of people that are taking the side of Jadon Sancho that aren't United fans, so like Chelsea fans, etc. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm Team Eric Ten Hag. Like, I just
Hmm.
I know this club very well.
You have to back
This
the
isn't
manager,
this
don't you?
isn't this yeah, exactly, and this isn't new. And I think there's this idea that Erik ten Hag has come in and he's trying to ruin the club, or the way he manages is odd. But if I'm being totally honest, the way his management style is probably what the club needs. It needs a massive kick up the arse and a
Mm.
big, strong, kind of strict hold grip on the on the club, which I think he's doing. And it's just unfortunate because at the moment United aren't doing well results wise, and the start of the season hasn't been good. And it's just unfortunate because now this has happened, which just basically just
Just adds to
it
everything. I
adds to
mean, as you were
everything.
saying, the results have been bad enough as it is. Like when that kind of stuff is happening, when the on the pitch kind of performances aren't working well, you want to at least have a cohesive unit, within the squad, within the club, and everything. But it's just like
Yeah, I
it's
don't
the
know if he's
same. Yeah.
losing the players though. I don't think. I think Jadon Sancho's that's it though. I don't think he's losing the players. I think the players aren't giving up on him. I don't see that.
No, but I think, well, um, certainly from the way I see it, I just think there's too many individuals at United that have been there for a couple of years. Obviously Sancho's been there for what's he been there for now, nearly 2, 3 years now, and there's a
Yeah.
few other players kind of in that boat who probably just think they can still get away with kind of half-arsed performances and kind of not putting the effort in that you would expect when you're applying for a club, the size of Manchester United, one of, if not
Mm.
the biggest club in the world. And I just think it stems from the top bottom and yeah, from the top down. So it's
I
very
think
interesting to kind of, I think obviously everyone goes and will immediately say the Glazers, and obviously they have to take a huge kind of chunk of the blame. But it's an interesting one. It is an
I
interesting
think
one.
I think look, I'm actually look. I'm a United fan, so of course I want the Glazers to be gone. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand me with that. But like, I feel like that Glazer argument is just overused. To be honest, it's like one situation where the player gets out of hand. Oh, it's the Glazers' fault. Yes, overall the Glazers have done so much damage to the club, but the only person that is to blame in this is I believe Jadon Sancho. I think, and obviously that trickles down to how the club is run by the Glazers. Yeah, but I think this is a very isolated incident, which
Mm.
shouldn't be. We shouldn't discuss the Glazers. It should be focused on Jadon Sancho, and I think his reputation in the past has shown that he's. I don't know. You might want to call him if you want to call him a lazy player or something,
Seems to
but
be a very common trend with Jadon Sancho. I think there was
I
even
think it's a
instances of Borussia Dortmund as well.
Yeah, and I think it's an indictment of the day and age we live in, social media. I don't know what it is exactly, but I feel like since the dawn of social media, players like just all these bad interactions with players they're just surmounting, and I don't know. I think players just feel like they have an abundance of power now, and they can get away with whatever they want. And then when someone like Erik ten Hag comes in, they basically clean the gaff, clean the shop, and players don't like it. It just causes uproar, and
Yeah.
it does worry me because I see online people like calling for Erik ten Hag's head, and I'm like, hold on a sec, if we want to, in terms of results first, if without going too far off topic, in terms of results, it took what Mikel Arteta like two seasons, 3 seasons, but how long has he been in the job? 2 seasons probably to get where Arsenal are now, and we're not even a season and a half into this. Like I feel
Mm.
like, and it's kind of similar to what's going on in the Irish team at the moment. If they were to get rid of Eric Ten Hag, who the hell are they going to bring in, and who's going to? It's just it, I think we need consistency in that end. So I don't think Eric Delaney should go or has to go or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think again it's just building out the toxicity in the club. And he's done a lot of that with Ronaldo and with some other players as well. And I think he's given Sancho so much time to just
Literally
get
what I
better
was
in
about to
terms of
say.
mental health. Yeah. And he's I look from my eyes, it looks like he's just throwing it back in his face in his face.
Yeah, I think ultimately at the end of the day, you have to back the manager. That the manager is the kind of head honcho. What he says goes. Obviously, there's certain kind of limitations to that if he's being abusive or whatever. Like there's obviously those kind of overriding circumstances. But I felt for the last, I think ever since Jadon Sancho's been there at United, and I think he was always given the excuse of, oh, he just needs another year and he just needs to get
Yeah,
up to speed with the league. But from what I've seen from him playing in the for Manchester United for the last few years, I just don't think he's good enough. For someone who came from Borussia Dortmund with such a high reputation of being very good on the ball, his end product was very good in terms of the goals he scored, the assists he got. You just haven't seen any of it, and he's been given a number of opportunities. And the amount of money he's on as well. I don't want to bring money into this all the time, but you kind of have to when a player is on. I think he's on like 350 grand a week at Manchester United, and like you mentioned there, the amount of support he's gotten. He was given a training program away in the Netherlands at some point last season to get his head clear, to get back up to speed, and to reintegrate into the first team. That happened. He didn't take his chance. The same things happen again here, and there was pictures of him and Wan-Bissaka out partying in New York. Like that's how does that look good for him at all? And
yeah,
it just kind of proves the point that I don't think he should be at United. I think it's the club's too big for him, and I think United would probably be better off just cutting their ties with him probably as soon as possible.
yeah.
I think Ten Hag might give him up, or even the club in general might even just give him up to January to kind of shape up or ship out.
Yeah, I think he'll be gone by January. Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like sometimes with Jadon Sancho, I always look at him like, my God, he's not up to scratch. He's not Premier League
Yeah,
level, I think, and
no,
it's so interesting how a club buys a player and he looks so good in Bundesliga, but then you see him in the Premier League against teams that should be better than, and he looks so slow. He looks void of any creativity.
yeah.
and it's kind of like, what position do you put him in as well? I feel like it's kind of
I think that is
it's a
another big
similar
problem. I
case
think United
to,
have spent, yeah.
yeah, no, but it's
I
similar
think
case
I think
to
United
your
have
man
spent
at
like
Arsenal. What's his name from
yeah,
Chelsea? I forget his name now.
Kai
Uh,
Havertz.
Kai Havertz. Yeah, Kai
Um,
Havertz.
but like you actually make a great point there. I think United have spent like the whole time that Sancho's been there trying to figure out where he plays. And you think, okay, you put him on the left, okay, he's not great out there. Try him on the right, same issue. And then you try and put him in the number 10. It's the same issue. Um, and it's like yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one, but I think well, I've had that sentiment for a while. I don't think he's good enough to be playing in United. You've seen a lot
Yeah,
of other individuals come from the Bundesliga into the Premier League. From my club, look at Timo Werner. You could even use Kai Havertz as an example as
yeah.
well. It's like it does take time. Obviously, the speed of the Premier League is nothing compared to your La Ligas, your Bundesligas, your Serie A's. But Kai Havertz and Timo Werner never cut it, or they had moments. But like when you paid, like United paid 75 million for Sancho, you don't pay that much money for someone to just have moments. You need them to be consistently showing it
And
week in,
even
week out.
even look, if I'm being totally honest, even the goals he has scored, like last season, for example, they're scrappy goals that he like scuffs a bit. And
And they're
I
so
don't
few
mean
and
to be
far
ragging
between that
on
you
him and
almost can't
all.
remember it.
Yeah, like as in Rashford was the main man last season, and I don't know who's going to be the main man this season, but it's really not going to be Jadon Sancho. I think I don't know how many more players has to go before you'd start seeing a kind of an upward trajectory in terms of kind of putting the toxicity out. But also, I think it's also a circumstance of. I think also part of me feels like, again, I'm kind of slightly going off topic, but in terms of the toxicity and then the things with United and the decrease in success, a part of me thinks it is just the day and age we live in. I feel like social media is a big culprit of why United aren't doing that well. Like I don't think it helps at all because,
Well, it's the image of the club. Like United are out there for everybody to see, and whether they do
yeah,
good things, whether they do bad things, it's going to be out there for the public to see, and it's going to be scrutinized to within an inch of its life. But like ultimately, I think at the end of the day, whether it's Ten Hag or whether it's Sancho, you have to understand that you're representing Manchester United, one of, as I said, if not the biggest club in the world. And it's just like I don't think that Sancho realizes that, and I think you look at
I
even
don't think they
Ronaldo as
have.
well, the
I
last one.
think they lack respect for the club. I think a lot of the younger players don't see what I see with Man United, or what fans of Alex Ferguson era saw. Do you know what I mean?
No,
I don't
and I
think there's that
think
and I think the consistent failure in terms of trophy title winning is just increasing that. It's like that respect is just going down further and further.
I don't even think I wouldn't even say it's necessarily respect. I just think the standards have dropped so low in the
Yeah,
last 10 years that it's become just like it's become acceptable. And I think the players have kind of fed into that almost to give them an excuse.
yeah,
I think so. But yeah, no, that was an interesting conversation on Sancho. If we wanna kind of delve in, there's a game on at the moment. Everton and Arsenal are playing now, but other than that, the majority of the other fixtures have taken place this week. Obviously
yeah.
we'll start with Manchester United. Why not? Let's
Hmm.
continue on with the trend of bashing Manchester United because we all love that.
We'll come
So
to
obviously
Chelsea at some
yesterday.
point. You guys are lower
Oh
than
yeah,
us.
no, I'm prepared. Don't worry, I've got all the ammunition I need. It isn't much, but we're going to use it. So yeah, obviously United lost 3-1 at home
Yeah,
to Brighton yesterday. Now obviously, look, Brighton are a very good team. No taking them away
great
from
team.
that. They are a good side. I thought they fully deserved their win yesterday. But I don't know what you made of Manchester United's performance.
Um, to be honest, I think people need to start putting not that they weren't, but properly need to start putting respect on Brighton's name. I think Brighton actually are a
Agreed.
very, very good team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they even win the Europa League this season. To be honest, they're a very good team, and they're fast. They're fast,
Mm.
and they've so many young players, and they're just so flexible with their formation. And for example, Evan Ferguson, he's not always playing all the time because it's a constant rotation. It's constantly keeping other teams guessing. And I think if I'm being totally honest, it was always this result was kind of bound to happen for some reason, just
Did you have a
without them.
feeling it was going to be that way? Yeah.
Yeah, Brighton are everyone's boogie man, and I just feel like for some reason last season we did really well at home, but for some reason so far I just had a feeling this season that, or sorry, coming into this match that it was kind of meant to happen with what's going on with Sancho and all the drama, and then anything regarding Harry Maguire and all that.
Yeah.
I thought it was meant to happen. We were easy pickings for them, to be honest. And it's just that if you don't get going straight away against Brighton, that's almost it, like. And I think we were unfortunate with the VAR. Obviously, it was look, it didn't
Yeah,
count,
the
but
ball did go out of play in fairness, so that is one of the cases where VAR does, it does work, and
But
they do
like
make the
if
right
if
decisions.
let's say that did count, I think things would have been so much different. But if splits and maybes, I think Brighton were just a superior team, and I think people need to realize that that team are capable of finishing in the top six. And as I said, Europa League, I wouldn't be surprised. They're a very strong team, and United just at this moment they're not in a good way. So I was
Yeah.
I was quite pessimistic going into the game. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think that obviously I watched the second half yesterday. I wasn't able to catch the first half, but every time I watch Brighton play football, like I was actually looking at some stats yesterday
Yeah.
from the time that De Zerbi has been in charge, like they've had an average of like 62% possession every game. They it's not even like Brighton stay in games or they just frustrate the opposition. They dominate and they take the game to it doesn't matter who they play. And I think I was actually
Hmm.
looking that they've won 8 of 15 matches against the traditional Big Six sides since he's taken over. Like that is just phenomenal. And the fact that they finished sixth last year, like if you'd said to me or even yourself like 5, 10 years ago, could you even imagine Brighton
Yeah.
pushing into the top half of the league? You probably would have. I would have
What was it
laughed at you.
like 20 years ago? They were like almost in the very, very low ends of the bottom half of the third division. So,
Yeah,
mm,
like they were. There was a time, there was a point in their history where they were struggling to basically stay in business. There was fear that the club would go out of business. But
yeah.
like I think it's a testament to what De Zerbi's done. Obviously, everyone looked at Brighton under Graham Potter and was very impressed with what he did, and he did do a very good job. But De Zerbi has just taken that team to
Hmm.
another level. And I know we're only 5 games into the season, but it's almost like the saying you start how you mean to go on. If Brighton keep going the way they're doing, they avoid a couple of injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why they can't certainly finish where they did last year within the top six. I just still think top four might just be a bit too much for them. I
It's so
think
competitive. Yeah.
it's so competitive, but like you'd expect City, Arsenal, Liverpool to occupy the top three spots. In what order, I don't know, but that fourth spot is up for grabs. And with the way obviously United are playing, Chelsea very poor at the moment. So, there's
Well,
certainly an opportunity for them in there, but
yeah.
I just
I,
think it might
I,
be a bit too much for them
yeah,
this
like
season.
I think like you're saying, I don't see how I couldn't think why they would finish worse this season than last season. We don't really have evidence to suggest that they did so well last season. You can almost guarantee that they're like, unless somehow in January they were to lose so many players or something. But like,
Well, that's what I mean, yeah. Unless they get injuries or like long suspensions or
yeah,
stuff like that. But it like the reason I say it's probably tricky for them to kind of break into the top four or even stay where they were. I think if they finish sixth again this year, that'd be a brilliant season for them because it's the
yeah,
same with Newcastle. I think everyone was looking at Newcastle and went, "Oh my God, they were brilliant last season," and they were. But you have to look at how Chelsea were last year, how Spurs were last year. You know,
Liverpool,
teams that on it and like in any given season would be occupying those spots. And it's the same again this season with United starting poorly, Chelsea starting poorly. It's given these teams that kind of chance to break into that kind of say top six,
yeah,
top four kind of mold. But again, going back to the point with Newcastle, I think they, what's the word? Overreached in their expectations.
they
I don't think
peaked a bit
anybody
too
expected
early.
them
You
to get
think?
top four. And I think the way they've started this season, I know they won yesterday, but it was only a kind of really scrappy win, and then they'd lost their three games previous to that. Although they had tricky fixtures playing City, Liverpool, and it was that they played. They played Brighton as well. So and if Newcastle were to finish fourth again, you'd say brilliant season. What a brilliant job Eddie Howe has done because it's about, you can't just expect to go, we finish sixth, let's go and finish fourth when you're a Newcastle or Brighton because
Mm,
they haven't been in those positions before. So I think what is important for the likes of Brighton
Maintain it.
and Newcastle, talking about Brighton, is to just try and maintain the position they were. And if they do that, then you keep building because that will then only attract better players who will be able to
Yeah.
help achieve that.
Yeah, like if
And
you're a
then if
Brighton fan, you don't want to beat Southampton. I think that's what they don't want to be, where
no,
they're
and I
buying
think
players and they're selling them. But like I think they're better than what Southampton. Remember when a few years ago, I can't remember how many years ago it was now. Southampton were very good and they were finishing kind of eighth, I want to say eighth, ninth, and they were a
yeah, that
strong
they had
team that
periods
played
when
decent football. They had a bunch of teams, they had Ronald Koeman. But I think this team is different. There's something exciting about this team, and if they can keep their players, and they can keep like the goal from Gross yesterday. Wow, like they have very good
sat
players.
Martinez down.
Martinez having a shocking season. Look, if I'm being totally honest, I don't know what's wrong with United. But we did very well last season. But I don't know. I don't know if that was maybe just the excitement for having a new manager, and now it's all kind of we're hitting reality now because Casemiro just isn't on it either. Like I wouldn't be panicking too much just yet, like because
No, there's only
Casemiro
5 games
is
into the season.
yeah,
Long, long way to go.
but at the same time, I wouldn't be pushing for higher than fourth. To be honest, well, I just see the quality in the team or the lack of quality in the team. We don't when you compare when I compare the team to Arsenal and City, there's not even I don't
No, there's
know.
levels to it. There's levels to it. I think City and Arsenal, especially City, are just in a league of their own.
Yeah,
And the likes of, United, although I think Liverpool have started the season in pretty ominous form, that new midfield is looking very good. And, I expect them to be up
hopefully
there challenging with
they
City.
will
I don't
avoid.
think Liverpool I know being a United fan, it pains you to say with the way your team's looking at the moment, but I think Liverpool have done what they needed to do in that transfer window. They brought
Yeah,
in the midfield, reinforcements that was going to help bring them back to those years when it was just them and City challenging for the league year after year with a point in it, and then Liverpool winning the league, winning the Champions League, winning everything. So it's going to be interesting. And
yeah.
you made a good point there about the similarities between Brighton and Southampton because you were right in saying that Southampton did have a couple of years there. Under Pochettino, and then in the first kind of years under Koeman. I know Koeman kind of fell off a little bit with that Southampton team towards the end of his tenure. But I think the difference between the two of them is that Brighton are just certainly over the last couple of years have just been run brilliantly. Even when they do sell, the players like your likes of your Casados, your Cucurellas, your who else have they sold? Trying to think, Robert
McAllister.
Sanchez, McAllister. That they've always sold like the players that put them on the map, and then they replace them with these young gems that no one's heard about, and then they just
Yeah.
manage to turn them into world beaters and then make like a 5-6 time profit.
Also, we have to remember, I think it is De Zerbi. I think De Zerbi is onto something.
Absolutely, I
I think
agree.
he's
I
onto
agree.
something.
So if we want to talk about my team, Chelsea, we played only a short while ago.
Scored a lot of
Good.
goals in that game, didn't
Yeah, there's 90 minutes of my life that I'll never be able to get back, but I suffered through it.
you?
It's the same issues all the time with Chelsea. I almost just get blue in the face, try to talk about it or try to dissect each performance. There's no end product. Every time I watch us play, we might play some slick football in between the lines and the build up, get into the final third, but then it's like they just can't hit a cow's backside with a banjo. And it's like they're like the minute they get into the box, it's like they just don't know what to do and they just
Yeah,
put the
yeah.
blindfolds on and aimlessly hit. It's now look, I mean, again, I'll go back to the point. It's only 5 games into the season, new manager, completely new team. We spent, I think we've bought everyone and their mother in this the last couple of transfer windows. So it's a real kind of swing in the like a swing and a miss approach to the transfers for the way I see it. But I can understand what they're trying to do. It's a completely new team. They're all, I think the average age I think we have the youngest average age in the league. I think it's like 22 years of age. So look, I mean, over the last well, certainly since the start of last year, my expectations are like here or maybe a little bit under. I'm not expecting big things, but ultimately, if you spend as much money as we have done on our squad, with Chelsea being a big name in world football, there are expectations, and whether it comes from the fans, whether that comes from pundits, whoever, we can keep coming up with the results that we do, like losing at home to Forest, drawing away at Bournemouth. Obviously, West Ham have made a good start to the season, but you'd expect on a good day, Chelsea should beat West Ham. So it's just trying about like to manage my expectations. I'm trying to do, but today's performance was very poor, just too slow. The players looked like they were panting after about
Mm,
10 minutes into the second half. It's a little bit worrying, and the fact that
mm.
we have so many injuries as well. I'm not using it as an excuse, but it does have to play into this. That we like, if you looked at our bench today, not a single one of them had played in the Premier League before, except for like Chilwell and I
Yeah.
think Cole Palmer. But like, you know, it's just going to take time, and I just have to keep the expectations to a minimum. But yeah, today's performance was very poor.
I think United and Chelsea are pretty much in the same kind of situation now, aren't they? Their players are lacking that kind of that that motivation, that drive. They look very,
Yeah.
very slow on the ball, both teams. Lack of Yeah, you guys every now and then can put a pass together and look decent, but it never really goes anywhere. And then there's also the element of like you guys had a lot of kind of toxic players as well to get rid of, and a lot massive squad. And then we have the
Mm.
commonality with the owners. I think now your owners are a bit different to our owners, but
Yeah, he's only in the door 5 minutes,
yeah,
so
but
I,
but but
I do cut him a bit of slack with that, but he has had a bit of a scattergun approach
he
to.
is. It is a bit interesting the way you're going with the contracts and everything.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, like, if there's a way to work around, obviously we spent a lot of money, and like everyone, and I think everybody in the world is like calling for Chelsea's head, screaming. They've all become accountants all of a sudden, going, "Oh, financial fair play! This why are they getting
Yeah,
punished? That." It's like, look, I mean, if he's found a way around it, and if it's not in the rules, then there's nothing you can say about it. But I do understand the sentiment that if you spend that much, if you do
much
spend that
money.
much money, you know, you have to produce results, and we haven't done it. So the longer this goes on, the more criticism that will come our way. But although I think most rival fans are just laughing at us now, not criticizing us.
Oh God, yeah, I don't know. Look, it remains to be seen. Who do Chelsea have next? Actually, oh, it's Champions League.
Uh,
Oh no, they don't have Champions
yeah, thanks for reminding me. We're we're playing Aston Villa next weekend, which is a tricky game because Villa Villa with Unai Emery. You know they
Oh
have the second most
yeah,
You know they have the second most points total in the league since the start of the year,
no way.
only behind City. They have Unai Emery has done a phenomenal
Let's
job
not
there.
forget. Now I'm gonna keep chammering on about it until they inevitably fall. But I've
Are
called.
you going to say Ange Postecoglou
Yeah, I've called
at
Spurs
Spurs?
to. I'm telling you, Spurs are onto something.
Now, look, to be fair, they've started the season
I'm right
well,
so
but
far. I'm
it's
right so
Spurs.
far.
It's Spurs. They will fall eventually. Sure, they're
Yeah, but
already out of like one of the
you're
only
doubting the
competitions they
magic
could
he
win.
brings. You're doubting the magic he brings to
No,
the. I'm very happy to eat to eat the cake afterwards. But if they mess up, but I don't know. And I don't know if it's an Australian accent or something. I don't know what it is, but he's got something.
he's
He's bringing some
romanticized
sort.
it. Has he fallen in love with him a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, but he's just so different as a manager, and he's so.
Mm,
I like. He's very optimistic, but he's also honest, and I like
true,
how.
true.
And I think he can galvanize. I think he's galvanizing that team.
True, and like the one thing I must say, like I don't admire anything about Spurs or their players
Yeah,
or what have you, but I do like the way he speaks to the press. I think it's one of the, it's one of, the
authentic.
many important things that a manager needs to be able to do in his role is to be able to manage with the press, talk to the press, and he's done that very well. He's not afraid to kind of put his foot down and be kind of bold or kind of ruthless with the media when he has to be. So that's the one thing I do like. And he obviously has brought in a style of play that, is working well for Spurs so far. I watched the game yesterday, or the highlights of the game against Sheffield United, and you know, to have that, kind of desire and that kind of willpower to turn it around in the
Yeah,
last like 5 minutes. I think they scored their equalizer in the 98th minute or something, and then got the winner 5 minutes later. So he's
all
obviously got the
Spurs wouldn't have
squad.
done that.
No, no, but as I said, we'll see what happens with Spurs.
Yeah,
I
look,
kind of know what's going to happen, but
I've
to be fair to
no,
them, they've made a good start.
I've
They've
no
made a very good start.
real, I've no real evidence to back up my point because my evidence is like, look what he did in Celtic and Australia. But then the counter argument to that is it's Scotland and Australia. So but I do think personally, the reason why I back Spurs to do really well this season, and I'm talking at least top five. I have a feeling they might sneak fourth, and again, everyone's going to be like, "You're mad, Cal." But I just think
Mm.
his ability as a manager, is a very unique style, and I think I've no doubt that they're going to concede a lot of goals and they face the likes of City, But I also think what they have going
And
for
they'll
them
score a
is
lot as well.
they score a lot, and I think they'll lose most games against the big teams, most of them. But I think they'll beat the majority of teams that are below them.
Mm.
I think
Well,
they'll. I
at the
think
moment, I mean, if you were to look at the kind of the lie of the league at the moment, the top four, I'd say apart from Brighton, because I mentioned that, I just think it's too big of a jump for them at this stage. But I think you wouldn't put it past at the moment the top four to perhaps be City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Spurs. I just don't know in what order. We don't know, but
yeah,
you know, if you know the way all
very
of them are
competitive.
playing, and if Spurs keep going the way they're going, then they could easily kind of sneak that top four spot. But it'll
Yeah,
be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. So yeah, I think that wraps up our first episode of 90 Minutes of Shenanigans.
nice,
I
nice.
hope you enjoyed. We will make this a regular thing. So we'll be looking to do maybe at least one episode a week. If we could try and squeeze two in, we definitely will. We want to try and
Yeah,
bring you as much content as we can because, as we know, the football world is always evolving. So there's always something to speak about. But
yeah.
yeah, until then, I've been Daniel,
And I've been Cal. Talk to you later.
and we will see you next week. Take care and have a good one.